Blake Lively's deposition is delayed yet again. What's actually happening? We got Ron Zambrano here to break it down. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore. So honored to have Ron Zambrano back. How you doing, Ron?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be here. It's always nice talking to you.
I know you're also slammed. I'll say it. Thank you for fitting me in. He's like, I got 30 minutes. Hurry up. Let's do this. You are such a gentleman and a scholar. I appreciate you. Thank him, folks. Please, for always making the time for us. So yesterday we talked as the hearings were happening. I sent you the thread. Kudos to Inner City Press because it happened so immediately. A lot of us sort of missed it. And there was a thread here that sort of went down. From a lot of our perspectives, it seems like Judge Lyman just keeps giving Blake what they're asking for. I got to be honest. But as someone who read this, did you see any red flags? Do you think this delay of deposition, which was supposed to be happening right now as we speak, do you think this, or I guess time of taping, I might have saved this for tomorrow. Do you think this delay was justified?
I think so. So this was the issue. I don't think the judge knew really the exact timing because the judge doesn't really care when depositions happen as long as they're done before the cutoff. So the deposition was going to happen, and then the judge made a ruling that changed the structure of the parties. And apparently people were flying from all over the country to be in a room for the deposition, but all of a sudden some of those people didn't need to be there anymore. So there was an emergency hearing where they're like, well, we don't want those people there anymore, even though you, judge, said they might be able to come back later. So I think the judge did the right thing in that, and then that no one should do work that they shouldn't have to or would be excluded anyway. He didn't want to exclude people from the room that might be entitled to anyway. And so it's a mixed bag, but I think it's the fairest thing that could have happened.
There was a point here where they said, given Miss Lively's wealth and New York domicile, I don't know what burden would be of more than one deposition here. We are ready for tomorrow. Miss Lively should not be entitled to special treatment due to being a celebrity. But that's when Lyman shot back. Don't throw around accusations. Your client is also a person of high profile. Neither was known to me. Even their names before this case, whether they have celebrity for now, is irrelevant. Celebrity can be fleeting. What is your reaction to that? Because I would argue Blake Lively's way more famous celebrity than Justin. Does Justin's lawyer have a point? Was this unfair? Do you think Judge's feisty response was warranted? How do you react to all that?
I think the judge is a little bit annoyed at the amount of attention the informal correspondence is. Remember, you and I did a show where there was this whole thing about the judge was upset at one of the letters and struck it, and I believe part of it is this, a part of his reaction that you're pointing out to here is I think he's just kind of frustrated. Like, I'm trying to treat this as normal people and you're throwing this stuff in. It's not like you guys are, it's not a David and Goliath type necessarily, maybe it's a Goliath versus like Goliath 0.2, whatever, but it's not really as bad as you're making it out to seem. And I think the judge is tired of it. I think he's tired of it.
Well, the big question is why wouldn't he just say fine if this case, because Jed's case got dismissed because of Texas jurisdiction, which honestly I think we all saw coming and made sense, and good on Lyman for seeing that through. But he made it so almost very easy for Blake to refile, knowing all of this, which is I guess an issue in itself that some people have. But why not just make a second? Yeah, we're gonna have a second deposition if it's required. Why do you think he's being so stingent on the 7 hours of depo time? This is such a massive case. Isn't it kind of standard if something else comes around or changes that sometimes you have to sit for a second deposition?
So yes, but under the federal rules, especially the federal judges, they need a really, really good reason for making it more than 7 hours. And the problem would be if he lets it for Lively, then all of a sudden there's going to be requests everywhere. And then nothing would ever end. In California, there is no limit for employment cases, which is what I do primarily. And some of these things can go 3 to 5 days, Andy. And the judge is like, listen, you guys have to figure this out, be economical. And so I don't want to deal with, they're coming to him at so much right now. Imagine now, like, oh, we want more time with this person. We want more time with that person. So I think he's trying to manage the case in a way that is fair for everybody. I think that's why he doesn't want to hear celebrity this, celebrity that. I think he's just like, I'm managing the case, follow the rules, fine. I don't want to waste anyone's time, come back. But I do see the frustration. as to, well, it seems like he's kind of giving Lively, a potential, notch on the belt, if you will.
Yeah, well, it's weird because the Jed Wallace thing that he dismissed the other day sort of threw all this in a tailspin. He even
Right.
admits this. It seems it's a function of my timing of my order on Wallace. I mean,
Right.
there's no shadiness there. Some people are like, "Oh, he's doing this to delay." You're shaking your head already. That's a ludicrous theory in your mind, right? He's just things are
Yeah.
coming by the time he gets them. I imagine. Even I believe that. You do too.
Yeah, absolutely. He has no idea. No one goes through the judge's count, goes through the judges like, it is okay that we set this depot here. He doesn't care because he doesn't have to be there. It doesn't matter. So absolutely, I don't think there's any type of, nefarious intent to do it on purpose. I think it's just bad timing.
Now he's making it clear. Well, you could amend it tonight. You could do all this stuff. Like he's basically giving them an opportunity to like get it quickly done. Like refile the Jed lawsuit. Like that seems weird to me. Like is there the jurisdiction issue? Should kind of thrown it out. How is what I couldn't understand all this with this dummy complaint and everything else that's going. Can you sort of explain to the idiots like me, like what is actually happening here and why is she suddenly now getting such an opportunity to like refile it so quickly?
So this is what I think the judge was trying to do. The judge was saying, I understand an amount, enormous amount of resources he said, because people were on a plane or about to be on a plane during this. If you read further up, I think the judge is like, listen, what I'm willing to do is let's, because the Jed defendants were on their way to the depot, like the attorneys. So I think the judge said, listen, so that for purposes of you guys just doing this, since you've worked so hard to combine, probably 20 people's schedules to be in one room, we'll refile the same thing, and then I will make the ruling later on the same thing, and then you can amend it later so that just in case the Jed defendants get their opportunity to do their depot within the 7 hours while it's happening. And I think the judge was just trying to accommodate everybody. And he's not promising one thing or another, whether the Jed is staying in or not. He's just saying, since all of you guys are going to be there and no one can basically bitch and whine that someone should not have been there because of my ruling, undo my ruling by filing it. I'm telling you now, you can do it. Go through the depot, and then you guys can amend later. But it's better to have it done now than push things back, because the only person that helps is Lively by pushing it back. So I think that's what he was doing. He was like, fine, everybody just show up, make things as if I never make the ruling, and then you do what you do so everybody gets their fair share, and then just get it done later.
Now that was what the thread you read happened, but then after that thread, they did ultimately apparently the lawyers all conferred and agreed, let's reschedule it to basically the day after the deadline for her to refile any Jed Wallace complaint. So do you think they did that begrudgingly? Do you think that ultimately was the right thing to do? Is this special treatment to Blake? What do you think?
Personally, I think it was a better decision for Baldoni and Wayfair, because they don't want to deal with Jed taking up their time, right? If they're not supposed to be there, then they don't want to give him any time. And what if Jed goes in there and like takes 2 out of the 7 hours, right? And then all of a sudden, then it turns out they didn't even need to be there. Because I'm telling you, 7 hours, once you're like an hour six, people go, oh my God, I only have an hour left. And they just start jamming things in and cramming things in. So I think this is really good for Wayfair and Baldoni's attorneys to like figure out, Jed, are you going to stay in this or not? If they can, because if you're not, we don't want you to take up our time with Lively.
Yeah, it's interesting because they're all these parties sort of have to come in there, and now Jed's separate lawyers. You'd think they'd all be aligned, but they're not. But most of Jed's case, I imagine, falls under the Blake case since it's the retaliation. It's just gotten so messy. So what do you sense with that jurisdiction? Do you sense Blake? Does that mean Blake now has to do this in Texas? If she's going to go after Jed, she has to file this in Texas, go do it in Texas. What are the ramifications of that? And what do you think the odds are Blake follows through and does that?
Well, before you got subpoenaed, Andy, I would think the odds are very low. But apparently, what happens normally does not apply to Blake Lively's team.
Right, but making a subpoena is one thing, but now suddenly having to go do it on their turf and do all that
right,
insanely expensive and far more complicated, is it not?
it is. It's not really complicated. I mean, they already have the bones of what they have to do. They just have to get somebody that's licensed in Texas, and I'm assuming I forgot the name of the firm, have somebody in Texas, Houston or Dallas or Austin. It's really a matter of, do they want to fight this on two fronts? Because the problem is this: what happens if there's a new case, the Wayfair attorneys can work with Jed's attorneys to get discovery because it has to do with the same story, as you're saying. So do they want to open a second front on the case? And that's a tactical decision they're going to have to think about.
Right, that could benefit Justin in a way, because now there's two prongs to get information. Right. So there is a version of this where Blake might go, crap, let's not do it. Is there any other version with what the judge laid out that might make her be able to amend it to do it in New York, or is that ship flown?
She would have to show some type of what we call minimum contacts, meaningful contacts in New York, some type of permanent type of business other than just visiting from time to time. And now she has the time to try to figure that out. But if it's not there, it's not there.
Man, so much to go through. Always appreciate you, Ron. We're going to bank another one for next week because I want to learn more about what retaliation is. There was a Reddit thread and some other things. So stay tuned. We got more with Ron as I'm out next week. Always a pleasure, sir. Thank you for making time. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. We got a lot more coming next week. Hit the bell for all alerts. Smash that like. We got actually a bunch of guest stars popping in for good content next week. So don't miss it. Stay tuned. Always a pleasure, sir. We'll have him back in a minute. So stay tuned. But in the meanwhile, check out these videos. And thank you guys so much for watching.